The question's simple, but the answer could define the Raiders' entire season. Is the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line good enough to not just survive, but dominate in 2025? For years, this unit's been a liability. Missed blocks, poor communication, no identity. Raiders fans have seen it too many times. Drives stalled, quarterbacks under siege, and the run game shut down before it could even start. But this year, things feel different. Let's start with the left side. Kolton Miller is still anchoring the edge, and while he may not be the absolute best in the league, he's undoubtedly one of the most reliable tackles in football. As a run blocker, he's a force. Powerful, aggressive, and consistent. Whether it's inside zone, outside stretch, or pulling on the move, Miller sets the tone up front. Pass protection isn't his superpower, but he holds his own against some of the league's top edge rushers. When he's locked in, he plays like a top 10 tackle, no question. Next to him, Dylan Parham is showing promise. He's not elite, yet, but there's something there. He's physical, quick off the snap, and coachable. He reminds you of those linemen who stick around for a decade, not because they're flashy, but because they fight for every inch. He's still developing, but the ceiling is high. And this isn't the same group that rolled into last season with patchwork pieces. Remember when Cody Whitehair was expected to be a starter? That was a tough look. Or when Thayer Munford was penciled in at tackle before he was ready? Combine that with Andre James's struggles at center, and it was a recipe for disaster. That was the story of last year, and the year before. But now? This line's got something it didn't have before. Structure, cohesion, real competition. The talent's better. The depth's better. The mindset has shifted. If everything clicks, and that's always a big if in the NFL, this offensive line could quietly become one of the top 10 units in the league. Not elite, not perfect, but good enough to impose their will and let this offense breathe. And in the AFC, where every yard matters and every hit can change a season, that's all the Raiders need. A front five that gives them a fighting chance. When you look across the Raiders' offensive front heading into this season, something stands out. There's finally a foundation. Let's talk about Dylan Parham first. He's entering his fourth year, and while year 3 had its bumps, this move back to left guard could be exactly what he needs. He's been shuffled around, left side, right side, but make no mistake, he's better on the left. That's where he's more comfortable. That's where he's flashed the most upside. Parham might not be a household name yet, but he's trending up. If the Raiders' system plays to his strengths, and all signs suggest it will, this could be the year he turns the corner and becomes a solid, reliable piece in the trenches. And then, there's the crown jewel. Jackson Powers Johnson might be new to the NFL, but you don't need 30 starts to spot greatness. In just a handful of games, he's already shown what separates the elite from the average. Strength, balance, smarts, toughness. You can see it all on film. He's not just a high-effort guy. He's a tone setter. There's buzz that he could end up being the best player on the Raiders' entire offense. And honestly, it's not crazy. He doesn't get bullied at the point of attack. He doesn't fold under pressure. He brings a level of confidence and control that this line desperately needed. Right now, the left side of the line, Miller, Parham, and Powers Johnson, has the potential to be a real problem for opposing defenses. On the right side, things are still shaking out. Alex Kappa is a veteran presence, but there are questions about whether he can bounce back to his best form. Behind him, the Raiders drafted Caleb Rogers, a promising prospect with the tools to eventually take over. If he develops quickly, that right guard spot could stabilize in a hurry. At right tackle, the spotlight's on DJ Glaze. He's not a sure thing, but he's not a project either. There's real potential here. He's athletic, long, and tough. If he puts it all together, Glaze could lock down the edge and grow into a franchise tackle. That's the hope. That's the bet. And let's not forget, this group isn't coming from a place of strength. The Raiders were a bottom 5 offensive line not long ago. Now, they've rebuilt. They've retooled. And heading into 2025, they look like a unit that could crack the top 15 and maybe even sneak into the top 10 if the pieces fall into place. And here's the key point. This offensive line is finally built to protect a quarterback like Geno Smith. Smart, mobile, rhythm-based. He doesn't need a perfect pocket, just a clean one. And for the first time in years, it looks like the Raiders can actually give him that. This ties into something bigger too. According to The Athletic, the Raiders were named one of the winners of the 2025 NFL offseason. That's not just hype. It reflects the work that's been done across the board. The article highlights 5 teams that got significantly better, and the Raiders made that cut alongside the Eagles, Vikings, Patriots, and Bears. Why? Because they're finally building an identity, a structure, a system that makes sense, and it starts in the trenches. Let's get one thing straight. The Raiders didn't just have a good offseason, they had a franchise-defining one. Why? It starts at the top. Behind the scenes, a power move changed everything. Tom Brady helped bring in JohnSpytek, one of the most respected talent evaluators in the NFL. Spytek could have gone anywhere. Teams were lining up, hoping he'd consider a GM role. But when the Raiders made their pitch, he said yes. That's a win by itself. And when you stack that move with everything else the Raiders pulled off, you see why national analysts are calling them one of the biggest winners of the 2025 NFL offseason. Let's talk about what that actually means. Under Spytek's direction, the Raiders immediately went to work on the trenches, drafting key offensive linemen who could start right away, including third-rounder Caleb Rogers, who may take over at right guard sooner than expected. But it didn't stop there. Spytek and the new leadership addressed the biggest issue that's haunted this team for years: quarterback. The Raiders made the bold move to bring in Geno Smith, giving this offense something it hasn't had in a long time: stability, leadership, and experience under center. And that's just part of it. In the draft, they landed Ashton Jeanty, one of the most explosive running back prospects in the nation. Early reports out of OTAS say he's already turning heads: fast, powerful, elusive. He could be the spark this offense has been missing. Think back just 2 years. This was a team leaning on Zamir White as its top back. Respect to him, but Jeanty brings a whole new level of upside. And the weapons? They're stacking up fast. We already know what Devontae Adams brings, but let's be real. He's been carrying the offense for too long. Now, the load is finally shared. Brock Bowers, drafted last year, gives the Raiders a modern-day mismatch nightmare at tight end. Jacoby Myers, one of the few bright spots last season, now slides into a more natural role as the team's wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. And keep an eye on Dante Thornton. He's raw, but the buzz coming out of camp is electric. Coaches are noticing. Teammates are noticing. Max Crosby is noticing. This kid might just be different. If he breaks out, this receiving core could be one of the league's most underrated. So yeah, it's clear why national analysts are taking notice. The Raiders have done more than just improve. They've reimagined their offense. Quarterback, offensive line, skill players, leadership. It's all coming together. But here's where it gets even more interesting. There's a quiet tension at play in Las Vegas, a contrast in philosophy between head coach PeteCarroll and executive JohnSpytek. Some reports suggest the Raiders originally had interest in a younger coach, perhaps someone like Liam Cohen. That may have fallen through. Instead, they went with Carroll, a proven winner who brings championship pedigree, but also, let's be honest, an expiration date. Carroll is here to set the tone, build the culture, lay the foundation. But the long-term vision? That's Spytek's domain. Carroll's window might be just 3 or 4 more years, depending on how things go. After that, the torch will pass. The question is, how aligned are the Raiders now? And what happens next? If this season shows anything, it's that the blueprint is working. A new GM, a veteran head coach, a balanced roster, a real direction. The Raiders aren't just making moves. They're making a statement. In Las Vegas, there are 2 powerful minds shaping the future of this team, and each one is looking at the road ahead through a very different lens. On one side, you've got PeteCarroll, a coach driven by legacy. He didn't come to the Raiders to rebuild, he came to win. Now his contract reflects it, a 3-year deal with a potential 4th-year team option. After that, he's likely walking away, hopefully with one more Super Bowl ring on his resume. For Carroll, this is about closing out a legendary career with a statement. He's going all in. He wants to build a championship team and leave the game on top. That's his mission. But then there's Johnspytek, where Carroll is urgent, Spytek is methodical, strategic, long-term focused. He's not the type of GM to burn through $40 million in cap space just to take one shot at a ring. He's building something sustainable, something that lasts beyond one season, one coach, or one roster window. That's not to say he doesn't want to win. Of course he does. But Spytek is playing the long game. He believes in smart contracts, sound drafting, and avoiding the trap that sunk so many teams before, overspending for a short-term push. We've seen this before. Remember what the Patriots did in Brady's final years? They maxed out their cap, loaded the roster, and went after rings. It worked. 2 titles in a few years. Then came the cost. Years of cleanup. The Saints did the same with Drew Brees. They pushed everything to the limit, and they're still trying to recover. PeteCarroll? He'd take that risk. Spytek? He's more like Howie Roseman in Philadelphia, someone who knows when to move on from big names, even if it stings. Letting star linemen walk. Passing on fan favorites. Not because he doesn't want to win, but because he knows how to build a dynasty, not just chase one. And this is what makes the current Raiders situation so fascinating. You've got a coach who wants to win right now, and a GM building a team that can win for years. That's a rare balance, and it might be exactly what this team needs. Even if Carroll decides to push the front office to spend aggressively, whether it's on a star corner like Jalen Ramsey or a playmaker like Jermaine Pratt, Spytek will weigh every decision with the future in mind. And yet, this team is still built to compete. Because even if they don't go all in this year, the roster is taking shape. The pieces are there, the line is improving, the quarterback is in place, the weapons are ready, and the leadership, the mindset, is changing. Make no mistake, PeteCarroll didn't come here to win just one playoff game. He's here to build something special in the short term, something the fans can rally behind, something that might end with a Lombardi trophy. And Spytek is right behind him, making sure it doesn't all collapse the moment he walks away. So yeah, there's reason to be fired up. This isn't just another Raiders rebuild. This is the most focused, balanced, and forward-thinking plan the franchise has had in a decade. And this season, it's the beginning of something that could be really, really special. Let's finish this with something Raiders fans need to be watching closely. Christian Wilkins. A recent photo from a charity event showed Wilkins once again wearing a walking boot, and that's a problem. After missing most of OTA sessions and not appearing at mandatory minicamp, this image confirms the worst-case scenario might still be in play. Wilkins practiced for just a couple days early in the offseason, then disappeared from the field. Now, after more than a month of silence, the only update is this photo. And that boot. It's been around 8 months since his last known foot procedure. If he still can't move without support, how is he expected to suit up and compete at full speed in 2 months? Let's be real. This isn't trending in the right direction. The hope now? He gets surgery immediately if it hasn't already happened. Get it done, begin recovery, and aim to be ready by the playoffs. Because make no mistake, if the Raiders are as good as they look on paper, they'll still be playing football in January. And that's where Wilkins could change everything. If healthy by then, Wilkins has the power to take over a game. He could be the spark that takes a good defense and makes it dominant. Imagine that D-line: Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, Christian Wilkins, Byron Young, Tyree Wilson, Adam Butler. Fully healthy, fully unleashed. That's a championship-caliber unit. But it hinges on Wilkins getting right. We're all hoping for the best, because the rest of this roster is shaping up in a way we haven't seen in years. There's stability at quarterback, weapons everywhere, a coaching staff that fits, and a front office finally building a future the right way. The energy? It's real. The expectations? Even higher. With just a few weeks left until training camp, this team is on the edge of something big. And if everyone gets, and stays, healthy, this could be the most complete Raiders team we've seen in a long, long time. Let's ride it out, nation. Let's stay locked in.